Well, my dear friends, when it rains Star Wars news, it pours. And today we have another insane rumour for Ahsoka Season 2. We do have a bunch of other Star Wars news, but first, Ahsoka. According to Christian Harloff, as you may have heard the other day, there are going to be more Clone Wars flashbacks in the second season, this time with Ewan McGregor as Obi-Wan. But according to a new report, Dave Filoni wants to bring Natalie Portman back as Padme Amidala herself.
It's Queen Amidala herself.
When this report emerged yesterday afternoon, Star Wars Newsnet responded and debunked it, insisting they reached out to their sources and it turns out it's not true. Fans then took to social media to express dismay, because this would have been an awesome character to bring back for flashbacks, or maybe as an apparition to Anakin's ghost. But here's the thing, guys. In recent weeks, Christian Harloff has a good track record, and his leaks have been corroborated by more reliable sources. Whereas we don't know where Star Wars Newsnet got their information from. It could be wrong, and I don't think scoopers should report on these kinds of deals until they actually happen. They could still easily fall through. Dave Filoni might want Natalie Portman to return, but is it going to happen? If it's not official, if a deal hasn't been reached and it's just not in the cards, it doesn't happen, then in this instance, it's just false hope. But considering Ahsoka Season 2 does sound like it's going to be full of fan service, I wouldn't be surprised if there is some legitimacy to this. But for now, my dear friends, do take it with a huge pinch of salt. Padme Amidala was of course a vital part of Ahsoka's early life, and there are a ton of ways they could do a meaningful flashback. Imagine, guys, if we see a live-action version of Ahsoka at Padme's funeral on Naboo. We know she was there. Imagine a scene that is a combined iteration of the versions from Tales of the Jedi and Revenge of the Sith. There's also been some speculation, and this is going to be absolutely insane if they do it, that Dave Filoni is going to use Padme's likeness for Abeloth to taunt Ahsoka and the Force spirit of Anakin. It is a wild fan theory, but considering this is the second and final season of the show, I wouldn't be surprised if they go full on crazy with the fan service. And in discussing all of this, leaks are often a controversial topic, and I know that not all fans like it when they spill, and if this is true, this is probably something that should have remained a secret, something that should have surprised and dazzled us all when we watched the episode, because wild theories do run rampant, and it's very possible if Padme is in a flashback, it's going to be very brief, so we overhype it, it becomes this big thing we're all expecting, and then it disappoints. Whereas if we went in not knowing about it, Natalie's return as Padme would have been a nice treat. On this channel, I've been covering leaks and rumours for the best part of 5 years. And I do vet them, I do talk about the more interesting ones. A lot of them come true, but sometimes you find some of the ones that don't seem legit do have some truth to them. Sometimes the scoopers and the leakers get half of the story right. So it is worth saying so that we keep our expectations well in check. If Padme does come back for a flashback sequence, I don't expect it to be a lengthy one. It could be as brief as 1 or 2 lines of dialogue that Ahsoka remembers in her dreams. I mean, just think back to a couple of days ago. We found out Sigourney Weaver's role in The Mandalorian and Grogu is just a brief cameo. It was disappointing because for such a big actress, we expected a role that was more substantial, but it's not. So what I'm saying is, let's be realistic, take everything with a good pinch of salt, and not get our hopes too high. Ahsoka did say she's a friend of the family, and we know she's already met Luke. I'd love for them to show us how they first met, but according to some of the rumours we are getting way more Anakin's Force ghost, then in some ways it's inevitable Padme is at least mentioned. Some kind of retrospective to the Clone Wars before her death in Revenge of the Sith. So if we look at what the report says, Lucasfilm might be bringing back another fan favourite, and it's not the first time we've heard something like this. Natalie herself on numerous occasions has stated that she'd love to return, but she just needs to be asked. So according to a new report, Filoni has been pushing hard to bring Portman back into the Star Wars fold, and both sides are close to reaching an agreement. If Padme appears in flashbacks, these could be initiated by Anakin's Force ghost or Ahsoka herself, and if this is the case, the flashbacks will be Natalie Portman alongside Ariana Greenblatt. I know we talk a lot about member berries and all of that kind of thing, but to be honest guys, I would just love to see Padme again. And given all the Disney Star Wars content in the recent books, there are so many interactions between Anakin and Padme that never made it to screen. So it could be Natalie and Hayden in a scene together again, just like the good old days. But I can already hear complaints that there is too much fan service. And just for the record, I know there's been a lot of fan fiction about this, but I don't think they're going to do a Padme Force ghost. that wouldn't really make any sense in terms of canon. But some kind of flashback to the Clone Wars, when Ahsoka interacted with Padme, or like I say, Anakin Skywalker's memory. In either case, between the reports of more Clone Wars flashbacks in Ahsoka and the Mandalorian and Grogu leaks of Embo, Rot of the Heart and so on, we're living in a time of Clone Wars re-emergence. Dave Filoni clearly misses the 2000s, but as long as the cameos and fan service, whatever you want to call it, doesn't take away from the main story itself, we're good. I truly believe the reason we're seeing so many characters come back is because of fan reaction to Luke in The Mandalorian Season 2. That was so exciting and the fandom absolutely erupted with joy, but I have a hunch Lucasfilm took this reaction to mean we need fan service in every single project. They didn't do it for Skeleton Crew, and that was probably one of the best things about it. I mean, sure, the appearance of the B-Wings and the Corvette were very exciting parts of Episode 8, but we didn't get Luke Skywalker thrown in, Han Solo didn't swoop in at the end, there were no character cameos. But did you know, according to the showrunners, Lucasfilm said if they want to do it, they have their permission. While they were neither encouraged nor discouraged, they were told by Dave Filoni, if there is room in your story for an overlapping character like Grogu, then by all means do it.
Do it.
Especially in light of Lucasfilm trying to make the Mandoverse one coherent thing. The showrunners admit they were open to it. John Watts says this, "It's not like anyone at Lucasfilm was like, you can't do that. If anything, they were like, yes, if any opportunities come up, we're totally open to that. But we were focused on making our story work. That's what mattered." It was kind of a scenario where we got to the end of writing the first season, and we made it through without needing any cameos. So no, they weren't necessary for our story to work. But at the same time, guys, we can't pretend all Star Wars shows are exactly the same. Skeleton Crew is a different kettle of fish to The Mandalorian, and The Mandalorian is different to Ahsoka. Ahsoka almost demands some level of fan service, and I thought the balance in the first season was really good. Ahsoka did generate a lot of hype, and while at the moment we're all focused on Andor Season 2, which I'm sure is going to be amazing, what Dave Filoni set out to do with Ahsoka was always to an extent going to follow in George Lucas's legacy. It's the one series that almost demands connectivity to the main saga, big cameos and general familiarity. Ahsoka herself, directly tied to the Skywalker legacy. And something Ahsoka Season 2, and to a larger extent I think Dave Filoni's movie needs to answer, is where was Ahsoka during the sequel trilogy? Why didn't she help the Resistance against the First Order? Remember that Dave Filoni said, just because we hear Ahsoka's voice at the end of Episode 9, it doesn't mean she's dead. I don't think Filoni intends to kill off the character. Are Ahsoka and Sabine really stranded on Peridia for all of this time? And if so, where was Ezra? He's back home. So what I'm trying to say is, with Ahsoka, there's a lot on Filoni's radar that does have to connect. So these cameos and this fan service does have its place. Way more in a show like Ahsoka than something like Skeleton Crew. Different horses for different courses. We're comparing apples to oranges. But I'm excited. I think Ahsoka Season 2 has a lot of potential, and that should be coming sometime in 2026. But I want to know your thoughts. Do you think they should bring Padme back? Do you believe the rumour? Share your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you enjoyed this video, guys, make sure to give me a big fat thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, check out yesterday's video, and I'll see you next time. May the Force be with you, always.